Okay, we're in the studio right now with candidate Znoneofthe, first name Above. Let's spend a little bit of time explaining to people who you are, I guess. Some people will be familiar with your story, but maybe tell us first of all about your name.
Sure, yeah, I'll give you the quick version of it. So, long time ago, when I was in university, I was on student council and the National Party of Canada formed up. I paid my $10 and joined, and then they called for candidates. There were 20 people in our riding association, 19 didn't want to do it, so I did it. So it was my first kick at federal politics and being involved. It was all right, we didn't win, so the next time around I thought I'll try as an independent. I ran under Sheldon Bergson, didn't get many votes, didn't get much attention, said, you really need an angle or a hook or something to get attention if you're going to run as an independent again. Years later, I had thought about the None of the Above thing. Yes, I saw Brewster's Millions, so I saw it there too. Everybody says, that's where you got it from. I kind of got it somewhere else, but yes, I did see the movie. And, I always vote because I think that it's not just a right, but a responsibility and a duty of every citizen to participate. Don't complain if you haven't gotten involved. And if you don't like your other choices, go run yourself. So I was hemming and hawing, thinking it's a big deal to change your name, but it's not such a big deal. And you can decline your ballot. So I went to the elections office and said, hey, can you make a little box for decline so people will know about it or say none of the above? And they said, never. It will not happen in your lifetime. I'm like, oh, don't tell me never. Say I need a petition, this, that. They said never. So then Harper said he wasn't going to answer too many questions, only 4 questions a day, and he started skipping debates, and now everybody starts skipping debates. And I said, that's it. I tried to get in that election, and I missed it, so I got into the provincial one afterwards in Oshawa Whitby, and I've been running a few since then.
So you actually changed your name. What is your legal name right now?
Legal name is first name Above, last name with a Z, so it's at the bottom of the list, None of the altogether. I think the Z threw them off so they didn't realize what they were approving when it went through, but it went through, so got the signatures, got it on a provincial ballot for the first time in history and a federal ballot for the first time in history as well.
So how long have you had that name?
Since just before the last federal election, so 2015.
And how many by-elections, how many elections have you run in?
Let's see, it's been 3. This will be the 4th provincial and 1 federal.
4th provincial. I guess what some people might be wondering is what do your family call you at home?
Yeah, they still call me Sheldon. Yeah, I don't think I'm above it all. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. So, I mean, what's the idea here? That people would unintentionally maybe vote for you?
A few people said you'd trick me. I'm like, really? You would go all the way to the polling station and go, oh, I didn't know I could do that. Okay. It says independent next to your name, or it says now it will say the None of the Above party, because there was actually a party. I didn't know. They didn't advertise very well. So when I went to sign up, it turned out the party was running there too. So I joined them. So now it's None of the Above in the None of the Above party.
So the party existed independently of you?
Yeah, we actually ran against each other in my first by-election. I was like, if I knew there was a party, maybe I wouldn't have done all this, but I already did it. So then I signed up and ran, yeah.
So in Sault Ste. Marie, we've got a by-election. Our MPP stepped down.
A long time ago.
Yeah, back at the beginning of the year. We're looking for a new MPP. So if people were to vote for you, I think it's pretty safe to say that would be a protest vote. I mean, what do we get out of that if we vote for you?
Well, a bunch of different things. Keep in mind that this by-election's a year before the main election. So whoever you pick now, they're only in for a year, and it will be a couple months before they come back to you and say, hey, vote for me. You're like, I just did. You're like, no, vote for me again. And this time our party will be in charge of the province and do all this. So a lot of the things people are promising are stuff you can only do if your party's in power. Right? You can't change the budget. You can't make a major difference. On June 2nd, I predict the Liberals will have a majority on June 2nd. Right? They're still going to have a majority. So you're picking who you're going to fill in part-time. Well, not part-time, I'll do it full-time, but you're going to fill in for the last year of this term. And you want someone who's going to spend the time on the Sioux, not spend the time on getting their party elected again. Right? So I'm going to spend the time on it. My background is customer service. And if you pay attention to the professions that you've got at Queen's Park, you have a lot of doctors, a lot of lawyers, a lot of entrepreneurs, and people who are used to keeping you waiting in their office while they're doing other things. Customer service, you say, no, you don't keep people waiting. That poor woman had a lien on her van for 9 months for testing. They're like, wait, 9 months? That's not customer service.
What do you mean by customer service? What specifically do you do?
For me, well, I've been in customer service in hotels. My first job's there, so in tourism. I worked at TELUS for a while, and I worked at CIBC on the phones for a bank. So what I always did was I went above and beyond, but I always gave more to the customer than they expected. And their expectations, unfortunately, are very low right now because you've outsourced a lot of jobs and you should insource them back. I got some ideas for that. But, the bottom line is that you want your MPP to make sure the government treats you the way you would treat a customer. You don't make people wait. One of the ideas I have that the Liberals might have to go for, and here, what can I do? I can make ideas that they might have to take. And one of them is if they keep you stuck in a problem they've caused for 9 months, then they offer you compensation at, say, $100 a week for every week that they're messing you over.
So back to, I mean, in terms of the situation that voters are in, the Liberal candidate would say the obvious choice is to pick them. We have the opportunity right now, like we seldom do, to pick a candidate who's with the governing party. Mm-hmm. Why shouldn't we do that?
Well, I think that's what it really comes down to right now. It's between picking the Liberal, because you already know it's a Liberal majority, or picking someone different who's going to try and do things differently and maybe get something different done. You've seen the way the Liberals do things. They didn't say they were going to sell hydro when you voted for them last time, but now they are. So, I mean, first of all, you already picked Liberal. You had a Liberal for a couple of years, and then the Liberal stepped out. They were in a big hurry to call a by-election and get representation from the Sioux back in. This is the same government that let the Sioux sit with an empty chair at the table for 6 months. They said, we don't really care what the Sioux has to say for 6 months, until they had to call the by-election, basically because time was running out. You get 6 months maximum, and then you have to call it. So you can pick a Liberal, but if you pick a Liberal now, don't forget that parties are on the main business of keeping their party in power and getting their party reelected instead of caring about the people. They put the party first, the people second. So if you go ahead and approve the Liberals by putting another one in now, when they start making their promises for the next election, who do you think they're going to promise the money to? A place that gave them another seat again after they left it open for 6 months, after they sold hydro and did everything else, and they said, still we'll vote Liberal. They're like, the Sioux is a safe seat. Let's go promise money to other places where we need to buy the vote. Or you send me down there and they go, whoa, what is the Sioux doing? How big a check do we have to write to get that guy out and get the Sioux back on board? Here, you bring the check, open the vault, and what do you guys want? We'll give it to you. Just don't vote for that guy again.
So what I think you've already answered this a little bit, but what do you think is the one quality that you have that would make you suitable for this job?
One quality, I guess. You know, it's a toss-up between my persistence and my customer service, and they tie together. I'm persistent at customer service. When I worked in big companies and they said, that's the policy, that's the way it is, I didn't accept that. If I felt it was wrong for my customer, then I pushed, and if I couldn't push through the policy, then I found a way around it, like none of the above. So I said, okay, if this is your policy, then they have to pay this for this bill. What about giving them a credit over here for that? And they're like, okay, you could do that. Customer doesn't care. As long as the money in your pocket at the end of the day is fair, you don't mind. If I find a grant from the federal government, if I could get them to write off $35 million of taxes from the Sioux, say, fine, you want to not get the money from the steel company, then write off $35 million from the Sioux since you're cutting checks for $35 million and writing it off, we'd be fine. You don't have to fight in court for money. If they're going to write off $35 million for us too, it's even. We'd be happy.
So persistence. Last question. First 100 days, if you were to be elected, what one thing would you hope to accomplish?
Oh, just one, or to accomplish, we'll say. I will start a lot of things because I believe in what I call the pasta approach. Yeah, throw it up against the wall and see what sticks. So I could sit back and say I'll just work on one thing, or I can jump in on everything. So I'm going to dig through everything they've approved before to see if there's any money that's just sitting around that they forgot about. I'm going to say, hey, we can do the study in the Sioux. We could take that for the Sioux. We'll grab that for the Sioux. I'm going to dig through everything, find everything that I can to bring up here. We can start things. Maybe we want a spaceport one day in Canada. Since people are launching a lot of satellites, hey, Roberta Bondar, we've got that tie-in here. Why don't we study the area to see about a spaceport here in the Sioux? Sure. Yeah, I like drones. I think that they're going to be the future. Why don't we get a drone pilot program going here in the Sioux? You've got the Aviation History Museum. That's a continuation of the history of aviation. You can have a testing area up here, do it up north where it's not too close to any inhabited areas, and you can test it all out, make sure it works. You know, there's money on the table everywhere, and your MPP doesn't just have to stick their hand out for government money. You can go and find organizations, companies, Elon Musk, all kinds of businesses that you can bring up here to work with us. You're close to the border, so we can have a lot of tie-ins with the States. There's money out there that can be brought here. You just have to have someone who's willing to think differently and go after it and bring in it.